So it looks like the judge did not have mercy on Todd Chrisley or his wife. They have been sentenced to over 10 years in prison. Welcome back to the Kempire Daily YouTube channel, your number one source for pop culture news and music, entertainment, reality TV, and so much more. As always, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on breaking news when we go live or when we upload. So we've been following this Todd Chrisley and fraud situation that involves his wife, Julie Chrisley. Now we know exactly how much time that they are going to serve in prison. So just a quick update on this story and what's been happening. They have been accused of defrauding the federal government for many, many years. This case took a whole other turn when a former business partner accused Todd Chrisley of them having an alleged affair and all kinds of things, that he was living this lavish lifestyle and was not paying his due when it comes to taxes. Well, as you know, it wasn't too long ago that they were convicted. Now we know exactly that they're going to be serving 12 years. Todd specifically will be serving 12 years in prison, and Julie will be serving 7 years. So let's get into the details of this. According to TMZ, Todd and Julie Chrisley are going to do hard time after being convicted of bank fraud and tax evasion. A judge just sentenced Todd to 12 years in prison and Julie 7. The Chrisley Knows best stars learned their fate today in federal court in Atlanta, where a U.S. District Judge, Eleanor Ross, handed down their punishment. They also both received 16 months probation. So as TMZ reported, Todd and Julie were found guilty on a slew of federal charges back in June, and they were holed up in their Nashville mansion on house arrest as they awaited their sentencing. So federal prosecutors argued Monday for a lengthy prison sentence for Todd and Julie. Remember, we were covering this story. One of the accusations that they also had out there, according to the prosecutors, that their Mama Faye, was signing off on documents that she had no idea. And I said, is she going to go to prison? Apparently not. Apparently not. So federal prosecutors argued on Monday for a lengthy prison sentence for Todd and Julie, around 22 years for Todd and a dozen for Julie. On the other side, Todd's lawyers argued he should get a maximum of 9 years in prison, while Julie's lawyers argued she should spend no time behind bars and just get probation. So it's important to talk about these details on what their lawyers wanted versus what the prosecution wanted and what the judge finally decides upon. So TMZ says that they broke the story that Todd and Julie were indicted back in 2019. So this is way before the pandemic, with prosecutors claiming that the couple defrauded banks by obtaining millions of dollars in loans based on false financial documents. The U.S. Attorney's Office also said that Todd and Julie cheated the government by actively evading federal income taxes. Todd and Julie have more headaches too. As we first told you, Todd is being sued over podcast remarks about a Georgia official who investigated him for tax evasion, and their son Grayson was recently involved in a scary car accident where he was badly injured. This has literally just happened this week. So according to our friends over at the Emily D. Baker, she tweeted this earlier today, so I knew that this sentencing was happening. And she simply says that Chrisley's accountant was sentenced to 36 months in federal prison. All right, the Chrisley sentencing hearing is ongoing, which we now know the finalization on that. The court approved 2 days for the sentencing, so it may not be announced until tomorrow. However, it came out today. The government is asking for Todd to serve between 17 and a half to 22 years, Julie between 10 to 12 and a half years. Let's get into what the accountant story is about as well, because it's important. There were a lot of people that were involved in this situation. The accountant for Todd and Julie Chrisley, the star couple of the reality TV show Chrisley Knows Best, was sentenced to 36 months in prison on Monday in federal court in Atlanta. Tarantino was convicted in June of defrauding banks and the IRS on behalf of his celebrity clients. The reality TV couple, known for their boisterous and Christian family persona, were convicted in June at the same time as Tarantino. The couple were found guilty of running a years-long scheme defrauding banks and the IRS to take out loans and dodge taxes, as I mentioned to you before. So the assistant U.S. attorney Annalise Peters said during Monday's hearing that one question remains. Why did Tarantino conspire with the Chrisleys to defraud the IRS? Peters noted that the Chrisleys had only paid Tarantino around $40,000 for his work, which is his typical wage. Peters says that she presumes that the accountant got swept up in working for the celebrity couple, noting that Todd Chrisley is a charismatic criminal. While prosecutors asked Judge Eleanor Rose to sentence Tarantino to 41 months in prison, which is on the lower end of the federal sentencing guidelines, and noted that he was not the mastermind of the Chrisley scheme, his attorney asked for even more leniency. But here's the thing, sidebar. Was this all worth it, Mr. Tarantino? Because now, I don't know if you can even practice as an accountant anymore. Now you're going to serve, and all of this for $40,000? So attorney Daniel Griffin asked that he be sentenced to 18 months in prison, noting letters from members of the community showing that he donated to charity and other acts of kindness that he says demonstrate his true character. Griffin also noted that Tarantino has ongoing health problems, including recent and upcoming hip surgery. Ross sentenced Tarantino to 36 months, as I mentioned before, which is still less than the guidelines, and allowed him to surrender to sentencing in May after his upcoming surgery. The Chrisleys have been already sentenced, as I mentioned to you before. But here's the thing. They said that this is before the Chrisleys were sentenced. They said the Chrisleys will also be sentenced during a hearing on Monday or Tuesday. Their convictions come with a maximum sentence of 30 years in prison. But Chrisley's lawyer, Bruce Morris, has asked for less than the minimum because it would negatively impact his mother, Nanny Faye, who is frail, and the employees who work on the family show. Prosecutors asked the judge to sentence the Chrisleys, as I mentioned to you before, up to 22 years. I, like many of you guys, watched Chrisley Knows Best and really enjoyed the show. I wish I could say that I feel sorry for them, but if you watched my previous videos covering this story, I highlighted an incident that happened on the Wendy Williams show. I forgot her name. I can't think of her name right now. I apologize, but she talked. She had an online battle with the Chrisleys, and she says, I don't know how this man is making all of this money and spending the way that he does. I don't see it. According to her, she noticed that there was some smoke. There was definitely some smoke around the Chrisleys, and it seems as if all that smoke has finally turned into fire. But the most shocking detail that came out from this situation was a lot of us that assumed that Todd Chrisley might be not so heterosexual was the accusation that this former lover, alleged lover, that he did it because he was in love with Todd and he forged these documents for Todd. I hope it was worth it for all of you guys. I know people want money, people want fame, they want success, but is it worth it in the end? Because if this is the end, was it worth it? We're going to continue to follow this story. No idea what the future holds. NBC, this is an NBC Universal show. Hey, Andy. Hey, NBC. Another convicted criminal. Guys, let's continue to have this conversation. Do you agree with the amount of time that Todd Chrisley and Julie Chrisley have gotten? You have to keep in mind, they still have Grayson, who is still a minor, and they're raising their granddaughter. Let's have that conversation in the comment section. And as always, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on breaking news when we go live or when we upload. I hope you guys are having a fantastic Thanksgiving. As you know, I am not in the studio, but hopefully you're still getting studio quality. Let's continue this conversation below, guys. Thanks so much for watching.